Welcome to Gaia's Calling, where stories ignite your spirit and the earth whispers her secrets. I'm Brad Swift, a Write on Purpose author of eco-fiction and nonfiction, inviting you to become an eco-guardian. Together, let's explore the wonders of our world and take action to protect them. Listen closely, Gaia is calling. And today's call is the question: can we face the truth without losing hope? This is a fierce, loving call in the time of collapse. And I want to start today's article and podcast with a little bit of an invitation to courage. Before we begin, a word of care, you could say. What follows may be difficult to read or hear. It was difficult to write, quite honestly. It speaks the truths that are often ignored because they're uncomfortable, confronting, or heartbreaking even. But it's precisely because these truths are real and pressing that they deserve our full attention. Now, this is not a doomsday message. It's really a call to consciousness. It's a challenge to step beyond denial or despair and instead stand with open eyes and an open heart in the middle of what's unfolding. Because when we see things clearly, as they are, not as we wish them to be, we awaken the power to choose a different path. And that choice, made together, is how a regenerative, self-honoring future becomes possible. So let's start. The time for soft words has passed. The fires in our mountains, here close to home. The storms wrecking our coastline, the shrinking windows of food security in freshwater. These aren't just warnings. They are symptoms of a sick planet pleading for our attention and loving care. Our civilization is built on great untruths. That we are separate from nature. That more is always better. That we can take without giving back. And that infinite growth is possible on a finite planet. Dr. Rupert Reed, a climate philosopher and former Extinction Rebellion leader, recently said, "It's not 5 minutes to midnight. It's 5 minutes past. We are already in the age of consequences." The global temperature threshold of 1.5 degrees Celsius has already been breached. But what does that mean, really? Dr. Reed explains it like this. 20 years ago, the excess heat trapped in our environment was the equivalent of 3 Hiroshima bombs per second. And now, it's 12. Let that sink in. 12 Hiroshima bombs worth of heat every second. So, this is not business as usual. This is not a future crisis. It is now. And it is us. A civilization on the edge, the 5 faces of the meta-crisis. While the climate crisis may be, at least to some of us, the most visible, it's only part of a larger unraveling. Many prominent thinkers, from Ken Wilber and Rob Smith to Andrew Harvey and Sherry Mitchell, just to mention a few, speak of a meta-crisis, an interwoven systemic breakdown that spans multiple domains of our civilization. Here's one way to understand its 5 primary dimensions. Number 1, the ecological collapse, climate change, biodiversity loss, ocean acidification, soil depletion, and pollution are not isolated problems. They're signs that the Earth's life support systems are in critical condition. And then there's number 2, economic fragility. Our global economy runs on debt, inequality, and the extractive growth process. As Ray Dalio warns, we're witnessing a breakdown in monetary systems and a widening class divide. And then we got number 3, political disintegration, polarization, authoritarianism, and institutional mistrust are eroding democracies worldwide. The social fabric is fraying, and compromise is viewed as weakness. And how about number 4? Spiritual and cultural crisis. Disconnection from meaning, purpose, and one another is producing despair, addiction, and anxiety. We've lost a shared story that can ignite us beyond consumption and competition. And then number 5, technological disruption, such as AI, surveillance, and digital overload are reshaping society faster than our wisdom can keep up. Acceleration without integration is breeding chaos and collapse. And in nearly every one of these domains, we see the fingerprints of a deeper problem. Not just unsustainable systems, but insufficient consciousness. Beyond awareness, a call for integral consciousness. Ken Wilber's integral model reminds us that real change must address all 4 quadrants of human experience: the internal and the external, the individual and the collective. In other words, we cannot simply throw technology at the crisis. We must evolve our thinking, our systems, our cultures, and ourselves. Consciousness matters. And the next civilization, if we are to have one, will need leaders who can hold complexity, embrace paradox, and act with clarity, compassion, and courage. Will you be one of them? As Wilber has long said, all worldviews contain some truth, but none contains all the truth. The move towards integrative, pluralistic thinking is not a luxury. It is a necessity. The turning point, a great choice before us. We will transform. The question is, how? And maybe even more importantly, and into what? Here's the metaphor: the caterpillar becoming a butterfly has never felt more timely. When the caterpillar has consumed all it can and begins to dissolve inside its cocoon, it looks like death. But within that dark breakdown, imaginal cells begin to awaken. At first, they are attacked by the old immune system, but slowly they recognize each other, connect, and begin to form a new being, a butterfly. This isn't just poetic, it's biological, and it's metaphorically exact for our moment. Each of us can choose to be one of those imaginal cells, agents of transformation, often unrecognized, often resisted, who carry the DNA of the future. We need a conscious, moving, grounded, spiritual uprising, not against the old world, but for the new one. A civilization that honors life, embraces reciprocity, and understands that our true strength is in community, compassion, and interconnection. What if this is the transformation we were born for? This is where Andrew Harvey's fierce clarity comes in. In a recent Alpine Initiative webinar, he recounted a story his friend Edwina Sandys once shared about her grandfather, Winston Churchill. It goes like this. At the end of his life, she asked him, "What is true leadership in impossible conditions?" Churchill's reply, number 1, face the extremity of the danger yourself without illusion, false hope, or magical thinking. Number 2, tell others the truth with the same courage. And 3, call them to their deepest courage and joy. And 4, then offer them a goal so noble it is worth risking everything for. Against a great no, only the greatest possible yes can summon the strength we need. That was the end of the quote. Harvey calls our time an evolutionary dark night, but he insists the way through is to die into life, to become love's sacred warrior. So, what do we do now? We begin where we are, with what we love, with who we love. That's why I'm launching Earth Listening Circles in my own community, spaces to hear the earth, grieve, hope, and act together. That's why my wife and I are creating a loving homestead, an experiment in shared living, local food, and mutual care. Not because we have it all figured out, boy, we don't, but because we know we can no longer live as if we are separate from each other or from the earth. What do some of these actions look like? Well, perhaps tending a garden or starting a food forest, learning to compost and harvest water, hosting a circle of neighbors to talk about what matters most, cleaning invasive ivy off the trees in your backyard or in your neighborhood, donating to regenerative farmers or climate justice organizations, supporting leaders and politicians willing to speak uncomfortable truths, reading to your grandchildren about ecosystems, cooperation, and courage, speaking and acting like one of the imaginal selves ushering in the next stage of our evolution. And here's the beautiful coincidence. Dr. Reed says it best. There is a beautiful coincidence. The things we must do to prevent collapse, the things we must do to prepare for collapse, the things we must do to build lives of joy, community, and meaning are the same things. We must become local again. We must regenerate what we love, and we must speak the truth even when it's hard. A question from the chrysalis. This morning, as I was preparing to polish and publish this article, a question arose during my meditation. Are we already in the chrysalis? The answer I received was clear and humbling. Yes, we are. From a spiritual and ecological perspective, we're living inside the chrysalis right now. The old caterpillar, our extractive, consumeristic, domination-based way of life is dissolving. Its structures are breaking down. Its myths no longer hold. We feel the mess of it, the fear, the disorientation. But this is also the sacred space where transformation begins. Inside this chrysalis, something else is stirring. Imaginal selves, visionaries, truth-tellers, regenerative communities, and quiet healers are beginning to wake up, to find each other, to connect and cohere into a new possibility. A possibility that hasn't taken flight yet, but is forming. And here's the thing. We don't have to know how it all turns out. We only need to remember why we're here. So I leave you with a small, powerful invitation. It's a grounding practice. Your imaginal cell moment. Sit quietly. Place your hand over your heart. Take 3 slow breaths. Then ask yourself, where in my life am I already living as an imaginal cell? That is, where am I giving shape to the new, even in the midst of the old? Is it how you speak with your children? In how you grow your food, cast your vote, create your art, or tend your neighborhood? and how you say no to what's dying and yes to what is life-giving? Let the answer rise gently. And if nothing comes clearly yet, that's okay. Just hold the question with love. Because the chrysalis may be mess and dark, but the wings, they are forming. And here are some resources and next steps. If you're on the app or on the computer, not on podcast, you can watch Dr. Rupert read Truth to Action. There's a link. You can hear more about Andrew Harvey on leadership and the global dark night. And you could join our next Earth Listening Circle. Links included.